was the youngest of 4 brothers and 2 younger sisters on the south side of Chicago. He taught his sisters how to wear makeup, made their prom dresses, and showed them how to style their hairpieces just right. While working in hair salons, Ronnie fell in love with the entertainment industry. Soon, Ronnie became drag performer Terry Livingston and began touring the country and the world with his act. In 1979, Terry won the Miss Black America pageant.
She was in a class all of her own. She could interpret the song and reenact it and make it believable, make it real to you in such a way that she could bring it to life and you'd understand that song better than you'd ever understood it before.
I remember seeing Terry at a couple of the clubs here in town. It was always a very striking stage presence, very much the diva.
Terry was very genuine when he was on stage, very professional. Everything had to be perfect. I think Shirley Bassey was his greatest calling because you got where you just looked at the nails at his hands when he was performing, because the way he did it, you didn't want to look at anything else, you know.
Feeling sorry for myself. I used to cry, but now I hold my head up high.
I knew Terry because he was the generation before me, and of course because he was black. I used to watch him perform all the time, and he dressed up a storm.
She was an expert at makeup. She was an expert at making costumes. She made me a costume one time for Bette Midler, and she sewed it up. It took her 20 minutes. You could just throw material at her and she could put it together. I talked about her parachute dress, which was one of the most beautiful gowns I'd ever seen. It was made out of parachute material, and it was just rolls and layers of material. And when she walked, it would catch the air and it would just flounce. It looked like a big southern ball gown.
I like to think that I got something of a legacy from him. It's because of him and his generation that I was able to do what I did.
I awoke to a tall, slender white woman assigned to the unpleasant task of informing me that my HIV virus had progressed and that I had 8 T cells and a viral load of 50 million, trillion, billion, jillion, and rising. My prognosis? Death. I was not going to let this disease win.
Female impersonation is the community here in Indianapolis. It's a very, very old community. It's well known. There were some big places around during the late 70s and early 80s, and it was an actual form of entertainment. You would do a show during the day, and then you'd have to reshave and do a show that night, but it would be packed. There'd be no room to sit down.
I started going through the transition at like 17, 18, but I started doing drag at 15 just because I felt like that was my niche. Felt uncomfortable in that other body. We're definitely more mainstream. I have so many mentors started doing drag in like the 70s, like the pioneers and the girls that made it possible for me to do what I'm doing, so I love it.
It's different. It's a different art form now. Creating the illusion that you're a woman is certainly different than actually being a woman. The element of illusion that once they come out of the wigs, the makeup, the dresses, that they are men again, is certainly a much smaller part of the community these days.
Before it was all guys. Everybody was a guy and you lived as a guy every day. Now it's a lot of transforming into gender and getting hormones and getting silicone and body improvements and being real and living that way, and it has changed a lot.
It's changed. What happened with the HIV thing is a lot of the older performers passed on, and it kind of left a gap.
The age epidemic, was mainly we were short of money. And it was a big thing with the fundraisers that we got to raise the money. But a lot of that fundraising was done by female impersonators. Just like Stonewall, the revelation started because the drags in New York would not put up with the police harassing them. And even in the gay community, so many people discriminate against drag. But when it's to raise money or to get things, the drag are the first ones they call upon to do it.
What a transsexual really had to go through back in those days, it was devastating for me. I mean, I experienced raids in bars, police abuse. I did some crazy things in my life where I should have been dead. But to be able to still be alive, to tell my story, I think is important.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we have some of the finest and foremost, and some very, very wonderful people to come out and entertain this evening on behalf of someone that we all know and love. And to update you right now, Terry is in the hospital. She's at Wishart. I'm sure if she were here, she would probably be in tears, and she would thank each and every one of you.
Terry Livingston was my brother. I was one of the little girls whose hair he did, whose clothes he made, whom he taught how to wear makeup. It didn't seem at all wrong. We just assumed that this was how Ronnie was. He moved away from the prejudices of the South Side of Chicago as soon as he could, falling into a world of drag performance that I really knew nothing about. Female impersonation has changed a lot since Terry's time. I never got to ask him so many things about his life, and throughout this journey, I hope to get to know the man and woman that I didn't get to know when he was alive.